5:15 p.m. Approval of the agenda notice with addition for any emergency item and or deletion of any item.
That looks good to me. I make a motion that we accept the agenda as written.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Diana Kersey, Chair.
Jeremy Rice, Vice Chair.
Laura Shivers, member.
Okay, public comment and discussion. Do we have any right now that does not deal with NGM? Hi, Marshall.
Real quick.
Okay, go for it.
Just an update for the Easter egg hunt.
Oh.
We are good on the 4th. We've got almost everything ready to go. So we're going to start setting up about 8 o'clock on the 4th, Saturday morning, or somewhere in there, 8:30.
Do you need any more candy and more prizes?
No, we're setting pretty good. We'll take what you got there and then, yeah.
Maybe you can help setting up? like
Probably,
normal?
yeah.
Okay.
You know, usually about 6 or 8 people is pretty good.
Okay, that'll work.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
What time do you want the bunny there?
9:30.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Consider items requiring action to be placed on the agenda for the next regular meeting.
Our normals.
Yeah, for now. Okay, review minutes. Review and approve the minutes of March 4th, 2026.
Make a motion we accept the minutes as written for March 4th.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Nevada Gold Mines Railway Project, Matt Miller. Matt Miller and with Nevada Gold Mines will provide an update on the proposed railway project. NGM, come on up. There's a mic there also for you guys.
Just turn it up.
Yeah, just hit the button there.
Green.
You guys can sit.
If you talk loud enough, it'll be picked up.
Okay, I just didn't want to have any feedback in there.
No.
Good evening, folks. Thank you for letting us come into the meeting. I'm Jennifer Jonas. I'm the head of Native American Community Affairs. I'm going to let the rest of our folks that are here with us introduce themselves, and then we'll give you guys a presentation and open it up for any questions that you might have. I'm sure there'll be some.
I'm Tamara Baker. I'm the permitting manager for Nevada Gold Mines. Thank you guys for being here. It's a good turnout.
Hi, my name is Matt Miller. I do community engagement for the Carlin Complex and working with the rest of the team to support our area.
Good afternoon. My name is Luke Barrett, and I'm on Tamara's permitting team for Nevada Gold.
My name is Sam Brown. I'm a community engagement and development specialist with the Elko Business Office. Glad to be here and good to see everybody.
And my name is Samuel Merritt, and I am the general manager for the Cortez facility for NGM.
Okay. And with that, we'll let Cameron lead.
Alrighty, we have just a couple of slides on a PowerPoint presentation that will load up on the screen here for the folks online as well. Alrighty, so as we discussed, we're here to talk about the proposed rail project. So just a little bit of background for folks that might not be aware. Nevada Gold is a joint venture between Newmont and Barrett. And with the formation of the joint venture, it's given us a lot of properties here in northern Nevada. You can see on the map, it primarily consists of 12 large properties, and 3 of those are Tier 1 assets. So with the formation of the JV, it's given Nevada Gold a lot of flexibility in choosing where and how to best process the ore. With that, a lot of the gold ore that's currently produced down here at Cortez is being hauled over the road up to the Carlin complex, to the roasters and autoclaves that are up there. Basically, depending on the chemistry that's with that specific ore, we're able to then choose which processing facility is best suited to maximize recovery of the gold. So that's what's led us to where we are today. Right now, we do a significant amount of over-the-road ore hauling. And basically, since that begun, or for the last 6-7 years especially, we've really been trying to evaluate either different, better, and safer ways to move that ore from Cortez up to Carlin. That's gone through a lot of iterations or processes. So we've looked at doing a private haul road up Crescent Valley and up Boulder Valley. We looked at doing a road train, which that would basically be the same over-the-road semis, but operating on a private road. And instead of having the double trailers that we have now, they would be able to have 5 or 6 trailers behind them.
It's knocking all the way out. I don't know if the one is got turned off.
Unplug that.
Oh, maybe it would.
Alright, we're back.
Just like that. I know, right?
So the road train would be similar to the over-the-road ore haulers, but operating on a private road, and they would have multiple trailers stacked up behind them. And then we've also evaluated a rail line. At the end of that evaluation, we basically determined that the safest and most economical way to move that ore would be proceeding with a railroad. So Nevada Gold has initiated the process to begin a railroad. Just a couple quick facts about it. It would be about 55 miles of new track, and it would be divided up between 2 spurs. What you see on the screen there is our preferred alignment. The maps that we passed out and we'll talk about a little bit here shows all the different options that are being considered. But just know that they're all similar, and they'd all be about 55 miles of new track. The track would run inside of a new right-of-way, and that right-of-way will be around 50 to 100 feet wide, depending on where it is and what's authorized by the BLM. NGM is then proposing to use 1 train a day, so it would be 1 loaded train coming from Cortez up to Carlin, and then an empty haul back. That would be the primary use of the track. That 1 train would replace the bulk, if not all, of the over-the-road trucking that occurs right now. A couple ancillary benefits of the proposed project, besides the over-the-road trucking going away, is it would reduce the operational cost of processing the gold ore, which would then extend the life of mine at Cortez and provide additional economic benefits that come from that mine. The other benefit is then just the environmental aspect, right? Over the road has a higher carbon footprint than a rail. One just point to note, the very bottom bullet that you see there is the proposed rail line would be a common carrier rail line. That's a federal designation with the rail, and it would be similar to a public utility. So just a couple notes about common carrier. Basically, anyone who wants to ship or receive material via rail would have a legal right to use the proposed new spur if it were built. So you could have new business or industry set up in other locations in Crescent Valley, and they would be able to tie into that rail spur and ship and receive. That's a federal thing, so that's not something within NGM's control. They would just have a legal right to use that track. So just a couple of comments there. The reason that NGM is proceeding with a common carrier rail line, if you notice the two segments are disjunct, it ties into the UP main line near Biowawi and gets off at the TS power plant. We need that common carrier designation to be able to use the UP track to connect between those 2 spurs. So that's NGM's need for having the common carrier rail line. All right, so the Surface Transportation Board is the federal entity that regulates common carrier rail, and the Office of Environmental Analysis is a sub-agency within the Surface Transportation Board, and they handle the environmental and NEPA permitting for them. So like we've already talked about, we've initiated the permitting process with the OEA, or Office of Environmental Analysis, to begin the pre-NEPA, and that's where we are right now. So a fair amount of baseline studies have already been done along the preferred alignment, but additional, either additional baseline or additional studies along some of the other alternatives may be required, and again, that's something that the OEA will determine. Hopefully we'll know that in the next couple of months. That said, if this project proceeds forward, the NEPA would also meet all Surface Transportation Board requirements as well as BLM requirements. The reason for that is if the OEA and STB authorize this project, we'd also need the BLM to grant a right-of-way for this project where the project currently crosses federal surface. So rather than having that as two separate NEPA actions, we're looking at basically allowing the BLM to tier off of this NEPA to authorize both actions. And so that's why the analysis or the NEPA that would proceed would be compliant with both Surface Transportation Board and BLM. As you can see on the maps that we passed out, multiple alignments are still under evaluation. And again, we have our preferred alignment, and that's what's shown in blue on your maps. However, the ultimate decision on what alignment would get authorized lies with the Surface Transportation Board. During the NEPA process, there would be opportunity for public comment, and so you could voice those opinions to the Surface Transportation Board as to what alignment you would rather see, or if you have concerns, that could be also voiced to the Surface Transportation Board. Down at the bottom here, basically, we're very, very early in the permitting phase. We're at this pre-NEPA scoping step right now. So we've already done and submitted the alternatives report to the Surface Transportation Board, and we're in this pre-NEPA phase right now. As you can see on that time frame, once we get into that notice it kicks off the NEPA process, it would be we anticipate it to be about a 2-year permitting process. So there's still a fair amount of lead time. During that 2-year NEPA process, just like the other NEPA that we've done out here, there would be opportunities for public comment. You could voice opinions, either for or against the project, so there'll be plenty of opportunities for that. If the project were then to go into construction, it would likely be at least 2 years of just construction. So, at a bare minimum, it would be 4 years before there would be an operating rail. In all reality, it's probably going to be, well beyond that. Anything else you want to talk about, Tamara?
I think we should point out what's special about our alignment.
Agreed. Thank you. So as mentioned, the blue alignment that you see on those maps are the preferred alignment that we have. It's a preferred alignment for a couple reasons. So I'll start in the south, down in Crescent Valley. The preferred alignment there, or preferred for NGM, NGM does own all the private surface along that alignment. So there'd be no impacts to private property other than NGM's private property. Now, the alignment does cross public lands, and so there would be an impact to public lands. And that would be, with the right-of-way that would be granted from BLM. The other reason why that alignment is preferred for us is because it keeps the train on the east side of the valley, therefore minimizing noise, vibration, and other impacts to the community here. Up in Boulder Valley, it's a little bit of a different situation because the bulk of Boulder Valley is private. It's owned by the TS Ranch, which is an NGM-owned ranch. And so really the preferred alignment there is just the simplest or easiest to build from an engineering standpoint because there's not the same private property impacts as well as people residing or living in Boulder Valley. So the preferred alignment that we have up there is just from an engineering and design standpoint as to what's the most simple and also avoids environmental impacts. So that's how we arrived at our preferred alignment. Again, as you can see on the maps, there are other alignments that do basically follow the highway up to Biowawi. From an engineering design standpoint, that is the most simple and the least amount of grading, cut, and fill. But obviously that would have significant impacts to the community, and for that reason, that's why NGM does not want to see those options selected. As previously mentioned, I'll just reiterate that again, if you have concerns about a certain alignment, the Surface Transportation Board is the place to bring those concerns, and they will be heard there. Yes?
Would you touch on too, like our grading for the track and our speeds?
Yes, thank you, Jennifer.
About like
Can you
where
repeat
the,
that question
the
for
yellow
us?
line is and why we don't do that one?
1 second, yeah. So Jennifer's question was about the grading of the tracks and the proposed speed of the train. The alignments that you see on the maps right now are designed for a 25 mile an hour maximum speed, and that's primarily the curves that dictate that. You know, this is still preliminary, and those could change a little bit, but right now we're looking at a relatively slow speed of the train. You know, it's about 55 miles a new track, right? So, and we're just looking for 1 trip a day. So we don't really have the needs for a high speed train. So it would be relatively low speeds, as a result, less vibration, less noise, and then also safer for wildlife too.
And any spur is a 25 mile an hour zone. Any spur.
Any spur, good to know. Thank you very much.
25. So they can only run 24 mile an hour.
Okay,
This is a spur.
got it. Yes, sir.
Mike Charcosi for the record. Will this all be coordinated with Union Pacific going through at times?
Sure. The question was, will this be coordinated with the UP? Yes, it will. We do need to use the UP track to get between the 2 spurs, and so we'll have to coordinate and operate with UP schedule. That said, all the proposed new track is also going to be built, or would be built, to UP standards, and so that way, you know, cars could go from the UP line and onto the proposed new spur and vice versa. Yes.
Mike Charcosi again for the record. Do you have a number of ore cars that they're going to use on the rail?
Yes, sir. The question was, do we have a number of cars? And yes, it's anticipated that the train would be between 50 and 110 cars. You know, ultimately the number of cars would vary, depend on the ore production and how much needed to be moved.
And how long you want to wait to fill it up?
And yeah, obviously there's a loading cost to that, but yeah, really, yeah, the amount of production is going to be the driver there. But we do anticipate between 50 and 100 cars of the train.
Wow. And also, I heard if this, if that, if the other, at least 3 ifs. Is this not permitted yet?
So the question was that there was a lot of like ifs and mays, and that's 100% true. This is not a permitted project yet. We have just initiated the permitting process. So there is an opportunity, or there is an option under NEPA for no action, and in which case that would not authorize this project. We just initiated the permitting that would authorize the project.
And
so
BLM also?
Yes. So BLM is a cooperating agency on this project. The lead agency for the NEPA is the Surface Transportation Board. So with that, if the STB were to issue authorization or a permit to allow this construction, we would then need the BLM to also grant that right of way. And again, the idea is that NEPA would be compliant to both, so that way the one NEPA action could authorize the construction of the project and authorize BLM to grant the right of way.
And do you have a start date if all this goes through?
No, there is no start date right now. The timelines for NEPA are a little fluid, but we do anticipate around 2 years for the NEPA, and then there'd be some administrative time in there as well to get the right of way granted and things like that. And then after all that was done, which would be a minimum of 2 years, then construction could start at that time if NGM wanted to proceed with the construction.
Almost like putting a new mine.
It's a big process, yes, sir.
And is there a time that start to completion, time that it might take?
At a minimum, it would be 2 years for the NEPA, and then 2 years once construction started to build. So we have
2 years.
2 years of construction, yes. We have solicited some bids from contractors. Again, it's all very preliminary stuff off of the design that we have now. And most of the contractors were saying it would be between 18 and 24 months of actual construction time. So that's where that number is coming from, is some of those bids. I would anticipate it to be potentially more than that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to add something really quick so everybody understands that
This process is the Surface Transportation Boards. NGM is here because we just wanted to tell you about the project before the Surface Transportation Board comes out and they have their own public meetings. So Luke keeps referring to NEPA, which is the National Environmental Policy Act. And so that is the requirement for anything that happens on public land, that we look at the impacts of that. And that's why they're gonna come out to the communities and they're gonna ask for your input. So you're welcome to share your input and help us guide maybe design changes or things that you're concerned about. But ultimately, the Surface Transportation Board needs to hear all of these things. And we're glad to pass them on too, but they're gonna have public meetings with you guys without us. So just know that.
And so what's the estimated cost of implementing the rail line?
Sure. The question was, is what's the rough estimated cost? I don't know if there's final answers to that, but somewhere in the neighborhood of around 500 million might be the permitting and the construction.
So comparing that to the daily cost of transport with trucks, and at what point is it break even or, yeah?
I don't know. Do you know an answer to that question?
I think that we should research that so it doesn't get published incorrectly.
Yeah, I'd hate to provide incorrect information, but yeah, obviously, NGM has been studying this for a long time, and the studies group has determined this to be a economic or business case to do this, but I apologize. We will get back to you on what is the break-even time versus the current trucking. Yes, sir.
Well, you talked about the NEPA, so that kind of answered my question about wildlife survey 3 feet been done out there. But the other question was, never mind, go ahead.
Well, for the first part, the question was about the baseline studies and the environmental impacts. So yes, along the proposed alignment, NGM has conducted baseline surveys for both wildlife as well as cultural surveys. It hasn't been for every inch of the alignment because those surveys were done primarily in 2021 and 2022. And at that time, NGM did not have all the private surface along there. So there are some gaps. And then with some of the refinement in the track design, there has been some deviation. So, one right-of-way might have been surveyed in places and the alignment has deviated slightly. So that we do anticipate additional baseline surveys and cleanup to capture those discrepancies. But yes, environmental baseline has occurred. That's been shared with the Surface Transportation Board. And at this time, we're waiting for them to review those documents and determine what's adequate and what needs additional survey. So there still will be a fair amount of baseline and additional survey to occur. Yes, ma'am.
So how's your training? Because from what I understood, when the surveys were out there, it's kind of going along the drag hills. How's that going to affect our newly constructed geothermal plant line yet? Or have you guys communicated with it?
We haven't had any direct talks with ORMAT about that proposed new geothermal plant. However, again, obviously we'd be crossing the county road there, and we do anticipate 11 crossings that would have traffic control, and that would be one of them. So again, as far as impacts to the power plant there, they would still have ORMAT would still have the ability to cross that road and access their property. We're not, the footprint of any of those alignments does not clash specifically with the leases that ORMAT has, to our knowledge, but there would still be additional coordination once the alignments get further refined. Yes, sir.
If you guys are taking the trucks off the road, you're not going to be using that to haul the ore anymore, and you're also going to be taking the trucks, like the guide trucks that I see every day that are kind of like following the trailers and stuff, like work trucks. Those are kind of coming off the road for the most part. Like, are you guys still going to? Is the road still going to be maintained? Because there's like half the demand is gone for the road, and you're not going to be using it. So is 306 still going to be maintained from here to 80 and back?
Sure. So the question was, if we're reducing the amount of over-the-road trucking, will the road still be maintained? So yes is the short answer to that. 306 is an NDOT right-of-way, and it receives both state and federal monies for maintenance. Obviously, the fuel tax does help to support that, but there'd be reduction in the need for fuel. But yes, the you know, the state highway would still be a maintained state road.
And then the other question I have is there a link to this map that I can zoom in? Because one of these routes looks like it runs right through my land off 306. The red route that kind of runs parallel to 306. So I can't really tell if that's, you know, there's like 100 feet between the road and my land that the state technically I think owns, or the county owns, you know. So I just want to zoom in a little bit better and see where that is.
I sincerely appreciate that question because that's a great point of clarification that I missed, and I apologize for that. So the preferred alignment stays the blue alignment stays entirely on NGM's private surface or public surface. The other alignments there do not necessarily stay on NGM's private surface. So there could be other private land impacts with those other alignments that are being evaluated. So if one of those other alternatives were to get authorized, NGM would then have to work out purchase agreements with landowners in that case. So
Yeah, but can I zoom in on that proposed route?
I think the Surface Transportation Board is probably gonna create a website where you can get on and look at all of the details of the maps very closely. We're also glad to provide that. We don't know until the Surface Transportation Board starts evaluating which alternative has less impacts on how we would proceed. But it seems riskier for them to choose a property that we don't own, right? So I don't know, I'm trying to say we're not just gonna come try to buy your land just because we want the rail there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not sure how that works. In fact, we sort of question why the STB would be analyzing these other ones, because we don't own them, you know? So I think it's just, I don't know, it's procedural.
The blue route seems to work for everybody. I mean, it keeps the noise out of.
Yeah.
So the answer no, there's not a place you can go to look at this map online right now?
not right now. The Surface Transportation Board will be providing more detailed maps, but we could also share, you know, it's no secret, right? We could also share these alignments in other ways too. So, but yeah, that's a great point of clarification. And yes, obviously we have our preferred alignment for that reason. But part of the NEPA is to analyze alternatives, or at least show that other alignments were evaluated. And so that's where we are right now.
And they can pick a mixture of them too. So they can say, do blue to here, then switch to the red line, and then back to the yellow line, depending on the environmental impacts that they get out of their analysis. So it can be a mixture. But that's why they look at all of them.
Sure. Where did the lines come, like who drew those lines?
So these are alternative, sorry, the question was where did the alignments come from? These are alignments that NGM has generated thus far, and it's mostly come from an engineering, layout standpoint of what would the cut and fill look like, mostly from a design standpoint is the driver on these alignments right now. Obviously other environmental factors were considered. We have a number, especially like along the range front, the alignment deviates a little bit to avoid wetlands or seeps and springs, things like that. Obviously private property was considered. That's the driver for our preferred alignment. But ultimately it was more so an engineering and design layout of the feasibility to drive these. Absolutely.
Where was possible?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So here's my question. Bear with me, my voice is dying. I apologize. I work for the Redwater Mineral Store, which is one of the stores in West County. And majority of our business is a lot of people that are actually in town, but it's also the miners that you're taking off that road. Where does it leave us? Because you're putting now all of those onto a rail trail. So you're potentially taking business away from us to help you guys out. And I don't mean that in a rude way. I apologize if that came out a rude way. But that's how I feel like I'm seeing it right now. Yes, it might be safer. Yes, it might, help the environment or whatever it may be, but you're taking those trucks off the road, which is potentially business for us that's in this town. So where does that leave us?
So the question was about the traffic, and just a point of clarification, the rail would only replace the over-the-road trucks. So those are the ore haulers. So all the minor traffic that you see, that would be unchanged. We're not proposing to move people on the rail. It's simply a freight rail.
Just like the ore trucks.
There we go.
To your building anyway.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but
So
we still
the
have.
ore trucks is only one way. They don't go to your building. They can't get off there.
Well, true.
anyhow.
Well, true. You're right on that.
Well.
But I mean, most of them take trucks and travel by trucks, like, you know, carpooling and stuff like that as well.
Not in the
So I was
workplace.
wondering if like, that was gonna affect anything to do with us, is that's what I was wondering.
So a couple points of clarification. So yeah, it's simply the ore haulers that you see in the lower right of the screen is what be replaced. All the light vehicle traffic that's coming up and down 306, that's 100% unchanged with this. Another point that I'd like to just clarify on that, as a business owner here, is the rail would make the mine more profitable and more economical, so it would extend that life of mine out. So I think that would be an ancillary benefit to you in your business, right? Is the mine would be able to extend longer, hire more people, operate more profitably. So there would be trade-offs on that.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. That's what I needed to know.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
So you mentioned the federal act, other businesses can use this rail, right? By law. So if I have a business out here, have a property, I wanna bring something. Now, can I extend that railroad going south, going north? Where it stops you guys, is that legal now? Are we gonna be able to just have a railroad that's going to Boise or wherever we wanna go, or does it just stop here? This is the beginning of something that could be long, because back in '90, when I was here, they had a proposal to run Yucca Mountain waste straight through here. And everybody in town went nuts over the green train, right? Because it's nuclear waste. Now we're introducing a train track. Is other people gonna be able to tie into this and extend it further away where we're doing this? That's one question. The other question is it gonna affect our taxes in this town? Our rates, are they going up? Because right now we got pretty scarce people here. And I live here for a reason. It's cheaper than Millville. I like it here. I grew up here. Been here many years, and I just assume keep my bills low. Right? I like to do other things and just spend my money on taxes. Two questions.
Yeah, sure. So let me restate your questions just for the folks online. So the first question is about the common carrier rail and the ability for other people to tie into it. So I guess my offhand response to that is you're 100% correct, and that other people could tie into the rail project or tie into the rail spur, and that's outside of NGM's control, right? So NGM is a part of the common carrier rail is NGM can't own the rail line directly. It has to be owned by a rail entity. So we've set up Nevada Gold Rail LLC would be the owner of the new rail entity. From there, again, it's a common carrier rail. It's there for public use and public benefit. So we could not deny someone else if they wanted to either acquire a property or operate on public land and tie off of it.
So that's yes, they can.
It's completely outside of our control. Yeah.
I think the big definite, the clear piece here is any new rail spur that would be different would have to go through the permitting process, which would then, you would have the opportunity to voice your concerns over it. So that would be separate
Different thing than you guys, I realize that, it is opening that door, that you guys have, we have the money as the Nevada Gold Mine, because I've worked there, I'm not gonna lie, I'm an employee of the Nevada Gold Mine. I'm not against it, I just wanna know where I'm standing here in this town with our taxes, with our land, it all boils to that more than for me. And the hunting grounds, and what we have out here is priceless. So it's, we'll just keep adding.
No, I hear you, but yeah, like I say, that's outside our control. But yeah, to Matt's point, those would have to be either, if it was a common carrier project, that would go through its own NEPA process with Surface Transportation Board, and they have to seek that same authorization that we're doing now. But that's not something that we could have any control or any say over. As far as your second question about taxes, I mean, the rail line directly in of itself does not, doesn't have any impact with that. And again, outside of of anything we could control.
So it's gonna better our highway out here is what I'm gathering, and it's probably gonna help us get ore where we need to.
Yeah,
in
it's,
our project.
yeah, so I mean,
So what are we looking at, 100-year, 90-year? I mean, how long we gotta haul ore, is it gonna be worth it for us to do this? Is that the idea of this, or?
the idea is to extend the life of mine and lower the cost of transport, and as well as making it safer, get the over-the-road trucks off the road, reduce noise and congestion through the town, both here in Crescent Valley as well as Carlin. That's a really busy intersection in Carlin. And then the speed that the ore haulers move on the highway, especially up the hills, and then the acceleration lanes, that's our other concern, and a big driving factor to consider this project is just from the safety of the over-the-road trucks. As far as you asked how many more years, I would defer to Sam.
Behind you.
There he is. He could talk better at what the current life of mine is.
Right now, Gold Rush goes into the 50s, and you get a rail spur in here and reduce that cost of haulage, it'll expand it. So that's what we know right now. We got to figure out what the total cost is of everything before I can tell you exactly what it is, but
Okay.
it'll only help greatly.
So our kids got a future here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna go a long time. Take a long time right now, but it'll only help making that haulage cheaper.
Yep.
So do you expect the transport to be similar to the containers? I mean, just not on the trucks? I mean, is it the same, Yeah.
Oh, so the question was, will the transport on the train be similar to the over-the-road trucks? It would be similar in the sense that we're proposing still side dump cars that would be, creating a stockpile coming off a stockpile at Cortez and going to a stockpile up near the roaster at Goldstrike. But I guess that's where the similarities would probably end. Did that answer your question?
Sort of. I'm just trying to visualize what the train cars are going to look like.
Oh, yeah, so it would be a similar side dump train car to this, but operating on the track.
Mm-hmm.
But it would look like a freight rail train. Yes, sir.
So the proposal right now is strictly ore is going to be hauled. Are we looking at any other chemicals potentially, or just strictly ore from one point?
The question is what would be hauled? So the primary driver and the economics behind the project is to haul ore, and that would be that one train per day making that round trip. Now, with the common carrier thing is, again, if other industry or enterprise wanted to open up here, they would have a right to ship and receive what that business does, right? Similar to the way the UP line operates today. So there's a potential for other things to move on the rail. Additionally, from NGM standpoint, there's a chance that we might move some of our other ancillary things, lime, mill balls, things like that we currently truck in. There might be an opportunity to again, increase the economics of the mine, provide better life of mine, more job opportunities through lower operating costs. So yes, there's a potential that other things could be moved on the rail, but it would primarily be ore.
Is this like cyanide?
It could be potential, yes.
Mm.
What about mercury?
We don't.
That's not a plan we have.
That should be a plan we absolutely don't have. Clean up mercury is very hard.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Moving in the future.
We're proposing this project to move ore.
The mercury has to go to a special holding facility, and it's not there or here. I mean, we keep it on the site right now, but it goes to a national depository.
That's a truck, right?
Yeah, trucks take them, yeah.
So what would stop you from moving it with a train?
Because we don't need it to go there, it would have to go to a depository someplace else.
Then then why would other companies need to use this train? If it's not going to your regular line?
Well, so maybe there's a misunderstanding.
And build ourselves a railroad station, so you could, offload lumber.
Are you guys
Yeah.
committing to build a railroad station?
No, it's the possibility in 100 years.
That's what I'm asking.
We're-
What does the forecast look like? Are you gonna have a railroad station?
The forecast is for ore.
Just ore? They're not
The-
worried
yeah.
about other people?
Yeah, so.
Which I understand, but you know, when something like this happens to a valley, it tends to tumbleweed the big effect. And
Well, let me just
we
offer.
all worry about what's gonna happen.
Let me just offer one point of clarification. So right now, there are no other potential users on the track. It's just that with the common carrier status, there would be a legal right for someone to use it if they wanted to. There currently is no other users or spurs proposed for this line. Right now, it's just simply hauling ore from Cortez up to Carlin and get the over-the-road trucks off the road.
But potentially somebody could tie in if they wanted to.
Potentially, they could put their own spur in.
Yeah.
Right, it's all potential.
And that would be,
Somebody else could put in a rail
and that would be its own
Yeah,
NEPA action.
right.
It'd be no different, someone else, it'd be no different than someone else proposing a new spur. And if they wanted to tie in, they would have to go through the same public process and disclose what they're doing with it.
So you're talking about one project.
It'd be outside of our control.
Anybody could propose that now without NGM proposing that.
That has nothing to do with our business.
Dale, you had a
I'm not
question?
saying it does, I'm just saying the potential of it expanding, right? If someone starts it, it's definitely gonna expand, and like you turning from Gold Rush out that way along the mountain.
Yeah, the proposed alignment's along the east side of the valley from the Cortez mine up near Vio Valley.
All right, and then how's that gonna affect getting into the valley?
So yeah, we have
crossings?
we have 11 proposed crossings that would have traffic control on the preferred alignment, and then there'd be additional at-grade crossings like for 2 tracks or smaller roads.
And will there be a fence line running on both sides of the
No,
shoulder?
that was part of the wildlife commitments. Is we're not looking at a fence.
Is there gonna be lights and stuff like that, or is it gonna be just stop signs?
At the controlled crossings that would have lights and gates.
Okay, go ahead.
Dale? I got a question for you. If you want to save the highways, make them safer, why don't you get the trucks off the road today? And you can do that, but you won't do it.
Enlighten me.
All the way to 80, 3 miles down and out. You can do 4 runs a day rather than 2 on the truck. That only puts them on the interstate for 3 miles.
I guess I'm not following how it's working.
Changing it around.
Get it to 80, don't go to Carlin. You go down 3 miles and take Boulder Flats all the way to the mine.
You're saying the county the county road up Boulder Valley.
Yeah.
So
And your elevation change is only 200 feet difference, 250, something like that. Not over the hills, up to Carlin, and then back down into the mine.
Yeah.
That's where the proposed railhead is.
But the trucks, they could do that now, and they won't do it. I don't understand.
Yeah.
And if you go that way, you don't even have to get on the interstate.
So for the folks
Underneath
online.
the interstate, the old road runs right down the side.
Yeah. So for the folks online, let me restate that question. Why are we currently not bringing the trucks on 306 up to 80, going west on 80 to the Dumpy exit, and then heading up Boulder Valley?
Yeah.
So I don't have the specifics when it comes to the economics of that, but I assure you the studies group has looked at that and has evaluated that. To get to where we are today on the rail alignment, we did evaluate continuing the over-the-road trucking up Crescent Valley, going to the Dumpy exit, and then paving the county road up to Goldstrike. It was still determined that the rail was a better economic solution for that.
I've proposed that route for over 10 years to NGM, Barrett before NGM took over, and I keep getting told, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah,
We own most of the property in that direction as it is.
I don't know the specifics on the economics, but it has been evaluated. Yes, ma'am.
Were we still getting our mercury storage facility from you guys?
The permits exist. Nothing has been constructed, and I apologize, I don't know any details, but I don't believe there's any current action on that mercury facility. Yeah, there's no action on it right now. Anything else?
Are you guys gonna employ locals for the railroad?
The question is, will we employ local work and labor? Yes. You know, so we have received preliminary bids to construct the rail line. I'm on the permitting side, the engineering team is doing that, so I don't know the specifics of where the contractors were proposing to source their labor. However, I anticipate there would be a fair amount of local labor created both during the construction phase, but I'd also point back to the life of mine, right? If we could lower the cost of production and operation, we could hire more people at the mine, and we could extend the time that the mine is in operation, which would also have a significant economic benefit to the community. All good?
How soon is the new mine off of Indian Creek Road going to be in operation?
I permit for the rail.
So Robertson? It's permitted and operating.
Yeah.
It
Just
is
not
operating.
at the full level.
They're pulling ore out?
They've got some test material that they're running, they ran it, pulled it out and put it on the leach pads now. It's just not the main area we're mining right now. Still pipeline and crossroads for the open pit.
If nothing else,
I
Real quick.
have another question.
Well, just real quick, did you cover already the construction crew size that you were anticipating?
the question is the size of the construction crew. Again, we've solicited some preliminary bids for that. I do not have the details other than just about a 2-year construction timeline, but I apologize, I do not know the size of the crew. Yes, ma'am.
So, with what's happening between Newmont and Barrett or Little Few, who's gonna own this?
The joint venture is proposing this. Again, I'm the lowly permitting guy. I don't know those details. But no, the joint venture is who's proposing this. So this is an NGM project.
So NGM will own it, and if somebody buys NGM, then they own it.
And the permit, say we don't want as a community for like caustic materials to be hauled on that train, which I don't expect you guys to know the answer to that right now. Will that, if the community votes not to do that, do you have a say on that?
I would rather go on a train.
I'd rather go on a train 25 miles an hour than make them get run over in the car.
That's fine, I'm just asking a question.
I think the Surface Transportation Board manages that. So we think that the Surface Transportation Board manages what gets hauled on the rail lines also, I think. So we would have to be authorized, we'd have to permit and have authorization to haul any other things besides ore.
I never find it to work.
Yeah.
Do you have a guesstimation on the SUV or
For the folks online, the question was, do we have a rough timeline of when the STB would hold their public hearings? The short answer is I do not know that answer at this time. We're very early in the permitting phase. The one thing I would comment on is NGM is very accustomed to BLM-led NEPA projects. That's how the mines are permitted today. The STB does their NEPA different. It's the same rules and the same legislation, but their procedures of meeting those requirements are different. We're kind of cut out of the loop, so we don't have the same very close coordination that we do with BLM-led NEPA. However, it would still go through the same public comment process. So there would be a notice, I believe a 30-day notice before meeting, and there would be opportunities to comment. That said, when we do receive that information, NGM would definitely be pushing out to the public as well to make sure it's well known. Do you have anything?
We think this summer, but if they want us to go do additional studies, they won't go out to the public till we do those studies. So depending on, do they need more info or are they good, it could happen this summer.
Yeah, thanks. That was a great point of clarification. We've started some preliminary baseline, but if more baseline is needed, that's going to delay that process until we get that information, and that way whatever's found can be disclosed.
I'm sure I'm not just speaking for myself, but you said there was a way that we could get a better plat of what you are proposing prior to another entity coming and talking to us down the road further. Can we please get something that shows a better way if they do.
Yeah, so
You said they do.
the
Yeah,
Surface
so-
Transportation Board will create a website for this project, and it'll have more details, but
Do you know when you expect that?
like I say, we're, you know, the way that they do, they tell us how the permitting is going and where they are, and the speed at which they move. But, you know, noted, and we will find a better way to
Yeah,
get
because
that.
I do know that there's something better than just this that exists there for you to come up with.
Sure.
Yeah. What if we could put up somewhere on our website or send to you, what are the KMLs? Is that what you use with Google Earth?
Yeah, so KML
Would
is
that
a
help
Google
you?
Earth file, and it's a free download. We could publish that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's something that puts it on an all actual. with the
Yeah,
rest.
so if we send you this file that's a KML, you double click it, it opens in Google Earth. Would that be helpful?
I think that's what
Yeah,
they're asking.
because I'm actually trying to understand.
Because this is very hard to decide.
Yeah, the problem is if you don't have public and private lands in the
You'll
background,
follow up on that.
you won't be able to tell.
So,
Thank you.
There are some of them that do live on that proposal that are main line you gotta look at.
No, certainly noted. We will find a way to get that published, and we will get that out.
We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Let's figure out a way.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to open it and see if anybody online has any questions?
That's what I was getting ready to ask. Jake, do you have any questions right now, since you are our natural resource guy?
No, thanks all. Yeah, this is Jake with the county and the natural resource manager. I don't have any questions. I appreciate Nevada Gold Mines. I just want everybody to be aware too that during the comment period, the county commissioners will likely have this on their agenda and will be considering putting comments in during that period as well. So if you have anything you'd like to bring forward to the commissioners for that consideration, just be on the lookout for that.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, thank you, Jake. Yeah, that's 100% accurate. This will be on county commission meetings, and you could also ask questions or voice support or opposition there as well. Anyone else online have any questions or comments?
Okay, do we have any more questions for you?
yeah, because I'm realizing I really don't understand what, looking at this map, it's the blue line, right?
The blue is what we're saying is our preferred alternative.
Okay, so it ends at Biawawi?
Yes, so the Crescent Valley spur starts at the Cortez mine, and all the alignments head north up Crescent Valley and tie into the UP main line, in the Biawawi area. Obviously, there's the one alignment that heads a fair amount east. That requires an awful lot of cut and fill, and we more so wanted to show it's been analyzed and looked at. I don't think that's a very reasonable.
But then what happens?
So the trains would get onto the UP main line, they would head west and get off at the TS power plant's existing rail spur, and that's where the coal's unloaded for the power plant right now. And then the rail would tie into that spur at the TS power plant and head north up Boulder Valley to an unloading loop near the Goldstrike mine.
Mine was just a comment. I came from the railroad industry. This is so much safer going rail than truck. It is unbelievable. And if you haven't watched the back of a Californian smack the back of a 25-mile-an-hour truck going up the interstate, you would know that. Because they all die. They die, almost always immediately.
And just to
that would go away. The rocks on the road, the windshields that I paid $10,000 a year for windshields would go away.
And just to reiterate off that, again, with the current design, everything's limited to 25 miles an hour. It would be a very slow-moving train.
So these two maps actually connect?
Yes,
that
yeah,
I see, okay.
You have 3 pages in the set. The first page is the entire alignment with both spurs, and then the second 2 pages are just a detail, one of Crescent Valley and one of Boulder Valley. Yes, sir.
There's a question regarding the alternatives. So you guys contract with the various companies to haul the ore, right?
Yes.
And then from the safety standpoint, the acid, the lime, the various others, but I think from the standpoint of just the private citizens on the highway, those trucks cause similar issues, right? You got road gators and then blowouts, you've got windshields, same issues, just a different vehicle doing it. But what, I guess it's more of how does it go from, okay, we're gonna haul the ore this way, and then what's the next step to say, okay, we're gonna haul the ore and the lime and the cyanide and this, because in my mind, I want it all there.
So,
because then I'm not worried about heading on a 130,000 pound truck.
Sure. So the question was about other materials moved on the rail. So again, yeah, the economic driver and the primary use of the rail is hauling ore. Once it's in place, we'd certainly look at ancillary materials, like say the lime, the mill balls, things like that. Tires, absolutely, yeah.
But it's where those things would be coming from. They wouldn't necessarily be at the other end of the rail line to be loaded, to be transported here.
Well, it'd be anything on the UP main line coming in.
Right.
But the spur would terminate at either the Goldstrike mine or the Cortez mine. I'm with you 100%, and I agree. We definitely need a party car along the train. I'll run it up to management.
Better be top on the list.
Well, thank you very much for the time. Oh, yeah.
Just a point of curiosity, do you still have to maintain 25-mile-an-hour speed limit once you hit the Biawawi track or you're going to turn off to the power plant?
So the UP main line operates at higher speeds. I apologize, I don't know the specific of that answer. My gut would tell me that it would likely operate at a higher speed, but we're also moving on, just a couple miles on the UP track. I don't know what that acceleration is. So it would probably be a slower moving train, but the track that we're proposing would be limited right now to 25 miles an hour.
So here's my question, who's actually going to move the cars from Cortez to the UP line? Is that gonna be NGM engines, or will it be UP doing the engine runs?
Yeah, so very early in the planning stage, the current plan right now is that the cars and the engine would be owned by Nevada Gold Rail, and Nevada Gold would have the opportunity to have their own employers operate and staff the train. Right now, I believe the primary thought process is to just contract that out. So it might be UP employees, it might be Burlington, another rail entity that would actually operate is what we're leaning towards right now. But again, that's subject to change. All right.
Anybody else?
Going once.
I just want to add twice.
So if there isn't anything else, I just want to add one more thing. I just want to be very transparent about the nature of our business, right? The price of gold is very high right now, and we're looking at all different kinds of opportunities, different expansions, and there are other options and there are other ways to manage the ore, such as building a new process facility at Cortez. And none of those things are off of the table. So this is in the permitting process, and so we're going to go forward with it, but there is always an option that we shelve it once it's permitted and we don't build it. So I don't want everybody to get their hopes up, and I just want you to, or down. I just want everyone to understand that the nature of our business, in 2 years, we could come up with a better plan. We could change something. So we're going to go through this process, and right now we think we're going to build it, but we are looking at other things, and so it can always change.
Yeah, so to that point, the number I heard several years ago to build a new roaster was, say 10 years ago, was $2 billion. And then there's also kind of a guess that it may or may not work specifically for the actual ore body that you're in at the moment. So then you'd end up still shipping some out potentially anyway, right? You still have the same issue. Whereas right now you have a whole bunch of facilities that you can say this car goes here, this car goes here, this car goes here, and you know exactly where your ore needs to go versus if we build I guess my point is, if we build a roaster out here at 4 times the cost of what this rail line's gonna cost, that doesn't necessarily mean that we still don't need to have an alternative to get the ore somewhere else that can't be used in this roaster.
Sure.
So
the question was about the economics of building a new processing facility at Cortez versus the economics of the rail. Again, the studies group is evaluating all that, but you're 100% correct, right? If you build a processing facility down there, you need, it's gonna be optimized to the average, where right now we have a lot of opportunities up in the Carlin area that could be better tailored to that specific chemistry. Pluses and minuses, right? Obviously, if you build a processing facility down there, that completely eliminates the need and the cost to even transport the material, right? The studies group is evaluating those options, as Tamara mentioned, and we're proceeding with the permitting because this is in the pipeline for permitting. A processing facility is not even in the pipeline at this time for permitting, but everything is, it's NGM's obligation, right, to shareholders to do what's best for the company in that sense. So it's being evaluated. If that's it, again, thank you all for your time. Sincerely appreciate you coming here and voicing your opinions. Surface Transportation Board will be conducting similar meetings, and you'll have opportunities to comment there as well. We'll be around afterwards as well for a little bit if you have any additional questions that come along.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Everybody, we're gonna take a 5-minute break.